Hi, good morning. We're here with Richard Grafton from Grafton Interiors. How you doing, Richard?
I'm good, thank you, Mike. Yeah, all good. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. So get things started as we normally do. If you could provide a little bit of introduction as to who you are, what it is you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please, Richard.
Good morning, all. I'm Richard, Managing Director of Richard Grafton Interiors. Our headquarters is based in Harrogate. We have three showrooms in Yorkshire. The one in Harrogate, which we opened in 2012. We then grew, opened a second showroom in Ilkley. And then in 2020, we opened a third showroom in Wetherby. So what we do, we're a family business, a company born from a shared passion, collaboration, and commitment to excellence. Our journey really has been guided by a clear vision to become the leading interior design-led practice in the north of England. We basically, in simple terms, interior design. I often think people think that's a very precious term, but actually, we generally do residential properties. We're doing a little bit more on commercial now, but primarily residential. So we will do what I would call classic interior design, which would be walls, flooring, upholstery, ceiling, lighting, window treatments, and that applies to any room in the house. What we then did was develop, which I think is our USP, more of a cabinetry-led business. We call it architectural design. What that involves is literally designing bathrooms, specifying the product for a bathroom, literally then providing a full turnkey solution. So we design, we supply, we install all the components, whether it's a dressing room, a kitchen, a bathroom, a study. And in our world, we say it's interior design led, because I think what I do feel is a lot of independent, perhaps a bathroom showroom doesn't always have the fabrics or the knowledge of the interior design side of things. So for us, our USP is there is always an interior designer working with an architectural design, because effectively there's fabric, color, texture, which I think adds to the layering of a room, and that sort of we're probably very unique in terms of what we do, and that's I think our USP.
Fantastic. So in terms of your reason to create that vision that you mentioned earlier, what was that? So maybe how did you get into business?
So I started quite a long time ago, without giving my age away. Basically, this business was founded in 2013. I used to work in a family business in Harrogate, which I decided to leave and set up my own practice. I always felt there was a missing link. What often happened with interior design, you would be asked hypothetically to choose a paint color for the island or the kitchen or the wardrobes, or what tile for the bathroom, or what tap color should we go for? Would it be brass, black, chrome, nickel? And because we were doing it almost subconsciously, I think it felt like a natural progression to offer it as a full service under one roof. And we now have a team of about 25. And what they do is, the architectural designers will do all the AutoCAD. They may use SketchUp to create 3D visuals. But fundamentally, I did it because I felt there was a gap in the market.
Fantastic. So you've seized on that gap in the market. You've grown to 25. That's a big team there. So has that been a natural kind of progression, or a purposeful kind of, we're going to get to size?
I think it's dare I say, it's probably classic entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Whereby, yes, it has. We've evolved. I have a philosophy that we have to adapt, improve, and change all the time. And I think what happens really is, there are opportunities that perhaps you realize, or they're given to you, maybe even better. And therefore, we've had to, it's sort of evolved rather than being mapped. I think what happens in business, particularly when you are flying solo, you're obviously, I think, a combination of ambition and aspirations to be very good at what we do, but that requires people, and then suddenly, geographically we spread, because perhaps we recognize there are opportunities in terms of demographics and geographical areas. I think now we're at a point whereby we're a bit more structured, so I probably cause all the chaos, and my daughter Charlotte, who's in the business, along with my wife Millie, they probably provide a bit more organisation rather than me bouncing off walls and creating things.
Very good. So how would you describe that business journey then to date?
I'm very, it's been great fun, to be honest. I think I'm very lucky that actually I don't ever feel that I go to work. I think work is a hobby
Brilliant.
as opposed to a job. I very much enjoy what I do. So the journey, how's the journey been? Well, I suppose the biggest thing was setting up in 2012. We actually set up in March 2012, so we're into our 14th year this year. And you know, there are, I'm sure any business owner will recognize, there are plenty of nights when you maybe don't get the best night's sleep. Certain things that you can't control, because naturally, I think in terms of what we do, you become very much a solution-based mentality. I'm not very good at spelling the word problem. I spell it SOLUTION. I don't understand what the word problem really means. But in answer to your question, yeah, we've had, you know, it's been very much an upward spiral, because I've worked 6 days a week, probably for the last 40 years. So I'm trying not to take my foot off the gas, but what we're trying to do now is create more of a structure and an organisation that provides more depth and breadth in terms of people.
So what does the future look like for you then, with that in mind, and what are the opportunities ahead, solutions ahead to any problems that or challenges that may occur?
I think so we've grown fairly quickly over the last 12 years in terms of business size and people. I think this particular year, I think probably my goal this year in a strange way is to polish the business. I think we need to get, I always feel we can do better. I think we need to get better and become the best. So in terms of challenges, there are always challenges, whether it be external factors or internal factors. It's predominantly probably external factors currently, because, for example, political situations or Brexit or things that we can't control. We've just been to Paris, for example, buying, and what is quite prevalent is the fact that the cost of transport is incredibly high as a percentage of an order value. But then we have to overcome things like import duty. So suddenly the viability becomes less. So we're always looking for new suppliers. That's one example. Internally, we're obviously creating new structure, new systems, new processes. And I think what that does is, again, some people embrace the word change. Sorry about that. Some people just turn that down. Some people embrace the word change, and it's, you know, all of that is part of a process that is something we're trying to achieve, more for improvement. But, you know, we don't do it for the sake of doing it. We're just trying to get better at what we do, basically. So well, the question was, what does the future look like, I think you said?
Yeah, so kind of, yeah, building on what you've expressed already, are there any, I suppose, goals for you, ambitions that you
I've always had a goal. I think probably what I never do is acknowledge the achievement, because I just create a new goal rather than acknowledge the achievement. So in terms of where we want to do, we're looking at expansion opportunities all the time, potentially acquisition opportunities, because it's, you know, the industry, although on the face of it very glamorous, is quite hard work, and I don't know whether there's that many coming into it. So I've tried to create a team. We've got 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 40s, 30s, and 20s. So we've got from an age perspective, I'm very keen to mentor, train, help develop people. I think that's probably become more of an important role, because I think passing on knowledge and training people who are genuinely interested is quite a rewarding part of the job. Growth, yeah, we're always looking to growth. We're trying to improve. We're trying to become more efficient. We're trying to buy better. But I think fundamentally, it's all about service. So it's about how we improve the service for the end user, the customer.
Right.
they're the most important person or most important piece of our jigsaw in the business.
Definitely. And a couple of things in there in terms of perhaps resonating or aligning with what other people might be experiencing, other business owners in the marketplace. How have you found recruitment? You mentioned the team there. What's your experience at the moment?
I think so, from a culture perspective, we have a very good staff retention. We've got, I think, over 40% have been with us over 10 years, and the remainder, even 25% plus, maybe 30% have been with us for over 5 years. So I think culture in a business is crucially important, how we treat people. I think generally recruitment, I think we're semi-fortunate, I would say. I'd like to think we're an attractive proposition for an employee because we've been around for quite some time. I'd like to think we have a reputation. I never know what the reputation is, but I'd like to think we have a very good reputation in the industry. Never taken for granted, by the way. So recruitment, yeah, we also collaborate with universities. So we sponsor prizes, which creates a great opportunity to give us an opportunity to recruit. So we collaborate with various different teaching, whether it be universities or colleges or whatever, to try and find the next best designer. So yeah, no, we're okay on that front. I mean, at the moment, I think we're consolidating a little bit where we're at the moment. Like I said earlier, I think we just need to improve what we have and what we do, and therefore I feel like this year we need to just polish it and make it better.
Right. You used the word there, make it attractive for employees or potential employees, which is a great share because yeah, you've got to be able to attract the right people just as much as you've got to attract customers, which is something that resonates here. So what would be your biggest lesson, Richard, in terms of what you've learned to date on your business journey that you could share, if there's one that you could pick out?
In terms of what we do, I think perhaps I wish I'd taken a little bit more risk, perhaps. I'm very keen to do other things. So we inevitably are doing a lot of people's houses up at the moment, private clients. I've always thought perhaps we should have done more property development because then effectively what we're doing is creating an RGI branded home, something that I'm working on at the moment. It's easier said than done, obviously, with interest rates where they are and borrowing and lending criteria if required. That's something that I'm very keen to do because if we're quite good at it on a private level, why don't we do it on a commercial level? So in answer to your question, I don't really what I've learned a hell of a lot about dealing with people, dealing with banks, dealing with accountants, dealing with lawyers, dealing with customers, to be honest. I think that's probably the biggest one is with customers about listening and delivering what they want, but we're also very happy as an organization to play devil's advocate because if there's a better solution, experience and knowledge, we've almost become we've become almost a little bit like an architectural practice as well, because we do a lot of other different things now in the business whereby we sell or advise, I think is probably a better word, and earn fees for advising people to do things a bit differently. So I don't think there's a one individual lesson. I think it's so many things happen when you're running a business that actually I often say, you can't buy experience, you can learn knowledge, but really it's all part of the journey, isn't it?
That's it. It's only by doing, but there's many things to be done in a business and running a business and leading a business that cause you to learn so many lessons along the way. Good share. So in terms of inspiration for why you do what you do, how would you express that?
I think from a very young age, I was always very interested in property. I can probably recall reading the Yorkshire Post Saturday supplement, which isn't really no longer now, the property page, always looking for houses for my parents to potentially buy. I think that naturally then, I was quite fortunate. I bought my first house when I was about 18, and I've done quite a few houses since then. More from just an enjoyment perspective. I think the natural progression is interiors to do with houses. I've always quite liked, dare I say, I've always quite liked nice things.
Yeah.
And consequently, over the years, we've got better at what we do. There's a lot more scope out there. There's a lot more product to consider. And I think really the two sort of interiors and property go hand in hand.
It was a natural way for you to follow.
Yeah, totally.
And if someone was to come up to you, Richard, and ask, I say they're 18 or your younger self, I'm just going to start out in the property business or interiors, and you were to offer a piece of advice, what piece of advice would that be if someone's just starting out on that business journey?
So I think a lot of the people that we recruit currently maybe have been to university and got either an architectural design degree or an interior design degree. I think that gives you a degree of credibility. I don't say it's the be all and end all though, by the way, because fundamentally you have to have a passion and an interest in what we do. So it's not necessarily the golden key. I think absolutely hard work is essential. A willingness to learn, a willingness to listen. We try and develop and help people with what we do, but fundamentally, if it's not a passion, don't do it.
Great advice. Love that. Thank you very much. That's a good point to almost end on. So finally, in terms of mentioning any latest news about what you're up to, I mean, you mentioned about polishing things this year, or even it's a case of sharing the website so people can find where you are and get in touch if needs be. Feel free to do that now.
Yeah, so we've had a very interesting year this year. So we've redefined the Harrogate showroom and remodeled it. Got a big capital investment. We've put one of our own kitchens in. We've created more of a snug environment with a media cabinet upstairs, dressing room, bedroom, bathroom, and a more of a formal lounge, which is, I think what that does is explain very clearly what we do because it's very visual. Again, developing a lot of our own brand product. In Ilkley, again, we did have a kitchen in there. We've taken that out and actually created more of a very interesting media, slightly different look to Harrogate. So again, quite a large showroom with lots of interior accessories, which merchandise and make the showrooms look nice. Weatherby, although less, 5 years old, we're in the process of changing some of the upholstery, again, going back to my philosophy of improving. I think, to be honest, it's a very visual thing. The website's great, richardgraftoninteriors.com. But by the same token, actually seeing and hearing and listening to what we do resonates more, I think. Anybody who's never been, we still get lots of people who don't necessarily know about us. We're quite happy to be under the radar in many ways, but at the same time, I think perhaps it's now time to blow the trumpet a bit louder. But I would encourage anybody to come in, have a look at what we do, talk to us if they have a project in mind. The best thing to do is come and have an informal chat.
Brilliant. That's right. Celebrating some of the achievements, as you say, as well as putting the next goals in place.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Richard. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and thank you for sharing all that you have. And I wish you best for the success of the business.
Great, and thanks very much for having me.